Rent moratoriums continue to heat up under a second stimulus package. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update. Our fourth of 5 today. Earlier today, we detailed a lot of minutia and incredible great detail. We went over first the check itself and SSDI, SSI, and especially those that have children and what they have to do to ensure they get their checks. Second, we went over hazard pay and the definitions of essential workers. Who are the essential workers? You're going to be shocked who's included and who is not. Finally, we detailed PU and FPUC and UI. And what does the HEROES Act call for and how many weeks we're talking about? New calculations you've never heard before. Finally, we're doing EIDL later today. But this video is going to go through rent moratoriums. And I'm going to go state by state because I got a lot of questions from viewers overnight. How about my state? How about my state? First, let's recap what this fourth video has always focused on this week. Rent moratoriums and rent grants. There's two things. It's the current situation and what's coming up in August. The current situation is what's called rent moratoriums. It prevents landlords from evicting you if you can't make rent. It is prescribed by laws of state by state by state. So people always ask me, what's happening in my state? What's happening in my state? Well, I'm actually going to go through every state shortly. The other issue is grants, free money. This is free rent money to you, free utilities money to you. What am I talking about? Well, the HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate from the House, calls for the creation of a fund that you would apply to for rent assistance that would give you free money that you would use only for rent to pay to your landlord and only for utilities to pay to your utility company if you're impacted by the pandemic. This is great news. It's great news for everyone. It's great news for you because you won't be displaced, which is a euphemism for become homeless. 2, it'll keep the landlord liquid. The landlord will get their rent. 3, it'll keep the landlord from losing their property. There's also a mortgage forbearance, which I'm not going to go over in this video, but it'll prevent banks from closing on properties during the pandemic. And it keeps banks from taking on a lot of debt of foreclosed properties, which no bank wants to have. But let's get to this video, which talks about the current state. The current state is states have passed laws which prevent the eviction of you currently under a stimulus package without the involvement of Congress. Currently, these are states that cannot evict you if you can't make rent. So let me go through it, and I'm going to give you a disclaimer. The disclaimer is the information I'm relying upon is not up to date to this minute. The dates may have changed, so don't hate the reporter if your state has changed. I'm doing 50 states in one video, and so sure enough, I am sure that there are states who have changed their deadlines. And here we go. So in Alaska, the moratorium on evictions is set to expire on June 30th. So allegedly, it may have already expired. Arizona, the moratorium on evictions is set to expire July 22nd. Denver's mayor has apparently issued a hold on evictions, but allegedly Colorado's moratorium on evictions has already expired. I don't know if that has been extended. Connecticut, allegedly, the moratorium on evictions was expired on July 1st. Delaware, there's a complete moratorium on evictions until the pandemic ends, so it's open. It's an open end. When I say open end, I mean it's not going to. They will not evict you during the pandemic ever. Florida, allegedly, the moratorium on evictions expired on July 1st. Again, some of these dates may have changed. Don't hate the reporter. I'm going upon a report that has not been produced, that was authored more than a week ago. Delaware, excuse me, Georgia, there is no state moratorium on evictions, but Atlanta has a limited hold on evictions. So there you go. Wow. Hawaii allegedly expired on June 30th. Illinois, it expires on July 27th. Indiana allegedly expired on July 1st. Kansas won't expire. It's currently in place and won't expire while the pandemic is underway. Great news in Kansas. Kansas follows Delaware. Who else does that? Kentucky. I had that in the comments. you know, of all the stuff Mitch's state does, this is one of the few that has been a good indicator. I mean, we've had viewers who have gotten nothing in PUA from Kentucky, nothing in UI, nothing in EIDL grants. I mean, but here we go. At least you won't be thrown on the street in Kentucky. Kentucky allegedly has a moratorium on evictions while the pandemic is going on. I don't know who passed that. If it was Mitch, maybe he was drunk when he passed it because he seems to do nothing for anyone lately. Maine, the moratorium on evictions is 30 days after the end of the pandemic. So Maine is really going the next step to really protect you. Thank you, Maine. So their moratorium is while the pandemic is going on and 30 days thereafter. Really quite wonderful. I mean, that's really the way it should be phrased. But whatever. Maryland, moratorium on evictions during the pandemic. I had a lot of viewers in Maryland ask me about Maryland. So there you go. There is no evictions while the pandemic's going on. All right, so let's continue. Massachusetts, no evictions during the pandemic. Minnesota, no evictions during the pandemic. Missouri, discretionary evictions by courts starting on May 16th. Suspended jury trials in Jackson County on July 5th. I have a feeling this one's getting changed. That's a hot mess. Montana. Moratorium on evictions for vulnerable parties who have sought COVID-19 assistance. Wow. I don't have the Montana details in front of me, but that just sounds like a hot mess of confusion. I'm going to say that again because I had a few viewers from Montana ask me. Moratorium on evictions for vulnerable parties who sought COVID-19 assistance. Wow. Nevada. I know I have a lot of viewers in Nevada. Moratorium on evictions during the pandemic. Great news. Can't be put on the street during the pandemic in Nevada. New Hampshire, moratorium on evictions during the state of emergency. New Jersey, moratorium on evictions during the state of emergency. New Mexico, moratorium on evictions for residents who provide evidence they cannot make payments during COVID-19. That's sort of interesting. So New Mexico says, yeah, we're going to do the same thing as those other states, but you need to have evidence that you just can't pay your bills. You can't just sit back and say, I'm just not going to pay. Interesting. New York, moratorium on evictions set to expire August 20th. I have a feeling that's going to get changed. North Carolina, moratorium on evictions set to expire June 20th, so allegedly it expired. Oregon, I know viewers asked me about Oregon. Moratorium allegedly expired on June 30th. I think that one was extended. I think someone asked me about that, or Washington. I don't know. I think that one was extended, but I can't recall. I mean, I'm remembering 50 states, so I'm trying my best here. Pennsylvania, moratorium on evictions set to expire July 10th. Vermont, no evictions during the pandemic. Virginia, allegedly it's expired already. And Washington, I know I got a question about Washington. No evictions until August 1st. Boy, I don't know if I had California in there. Did I have California there? I know what California is. It is currently a moratorium, but it's set to expire in a few weeks. And, it will get extended if it has to be extended. There you go. So you have a lot of different things to think about for rental assistance under a second stimulus check package. Let me go through them. So we just talked about the current situation, which is you can't be put on the street. Then the other current situation right now is that there is a moratorium on mortgages. So if you own a home and you can't make your mortgage to live in your home, the lender cannot foreclose on you now, but that is coming up at the financial cliff in late July. The HEROES Act proposes to extend that into next year, but currently it's currently active and expires in late July. The next one is, what about the HEROES Act and what about the Warren Plan? So the Warren Plan seeks to make it a federal law, which I think is great. Seeks to make it a federal law as to what I just did. Instead of going 50 states and having it different every single state and different every county and just different everywhere, Warren seeks to say, hey, you just can't evict people for inability to make rent due to COVID-19 while the pandemic is going on. And we're going to extend that all the way until next year. But in the same regards, she wants to give help to landlords. She wants to give help to everyone. She doesn't want to get people in the food chain screwed and other people help. So she seeks to help everyone in the food chain. The last one is the HEROES Act, which is, as I said before, is currently in the Senate. That proposes to do a lot of different rental assistance. It proposes to give a moratorium on rental evictions, to give a moratorium on mortgage foreclosures, a moratorium on mortgage payments and mortgage interest and principal, and then all this free money. Grant money to tenants for rent and utility. Grant money to landlords who haven't gotten rent money to date. That grant money to landlords would help them get up to speed with their mortgage obligations. So there's a lot of great plans out there, and they're all going to twist and change in the next couple of weeks. This is our 4th of 5 second stimulus check videos today. Coming up later today is EIDL. As always, stay with LA for more.